Hello, BookTube. I'm coming to you here with a guest on another Zoom chat. My guest is Drawn to Stories, a booktuber named Jere. Is that right? Did I get that even
Yep.
close?
Yes, that's really good, really close. So Jere, yes, and
From
hello,
the very
BookTube.
distant land of Finland. And you
Mm-hmm.
had to remind me, he had to remind me, much to my shame, that I subscribe to and really like a couple of other Finnish booktubers. So it's not like you're the only one in the entire place.
Oh yes, indeed.
But we have a specific topic that I wanted to go over today because it just fascinates me. I watched recently, and I'm pretty sure you did too,
Yep.
a collaborative video. Frida says hi to all the rest of you. You bore her. It was a collaborative video between Kit's World and The Font. I'll leave links to their two channels' presentations of that collaborative conversation, all about the stresses and strains of being a new booktuber. The Font interviews Kit of Kit's World on things like subscriber count or time management or the pressure to produce, all those sorts of things, and immediately made me think of all the new booktubers that I know. And you're one of them. So I thought we would go over a bit of that together. I would also like to talk to Kit's World and The Font as well, but I thought we'd go over a bit of that together, and part of that is going to involve going over some of the ground of your BookTube newbie tag.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Because one of the very first questions in the BookTube newbie tag is, why did you start your channel? And the typical canonical Catholic Church response to that question is, I don't have many friends in my life who read, and I wanted the community. I wanted to talk to people who also read. I think that was your answer as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no friends in real life who read books, but also that I really wanted to improve my speaking skills and being in front of the camera. That was also one selfish reason.
And the reason that I call that the approved Catholic Church response to that question is because I get the impression from watching other new booktubers, and especially from that conversation between Kit's World and The Font, that there are other motivations as well. And I'm wondering, maybe motivations that people are less inclined to air in public. Like, for instance, what I would think would be the natural human motivation of hoping that it works. When you were an active commenter on videos long before you made your channel, right?
Yeah, I watched BookTube for many years.
So when you made your channel, in addition to starting conversations with other bookish people, was there a part of you that also hoped that your channel would work, that it would be I don't know, a success? You're closing in on 200 subscribers, right?
Yeah, that's right. But I never really thought that or hoped that I would be a success. I just wanted to, make a channel for myself so that people know that I am here. I also read books and talk about books. I want to connect with people. So
the elements that were brought up in that discussion, and again, I'll leave the link to it. I keep referring to it. How much of that did you watch that exchange, right?
yeah, I did.
How much of that resonated with you? When Kit mentions, for instance, in the course of that interview, that when he gains a subscriber, he's as happy as could be, and when he loses a subscriber, he notices, and it feels personal. He mentions that someone had to click on that button. They had to take an action that seems to be against him.
Oh yeah, well,
You feel that as well?
yeah, of course it sort of feels a little bit whenever there's one subscriber less. Of course, it's like feels bad, but also it feels good. So sort of get rid of the people who don't really want to sort of engage with me. And quite soon after I joined BookTube, I got shouted in some shout-out videos, and that gained me some new subscribers. And of course, that was a positive thing. But then one bigger booktuber mentioned my video in one of his own videos, and that brought even more subscribers to my channel. So that was a really positive, nice thing, but it also brought some extra stress with it. Like, all right, they come from this big booktuber. Are they expecting something from me? Like, I hope they're not expecting any good content or high production values. That's not what they're getting. So yeah, expectations is probably the biggest challenge for me, like mentally.
And again, the reason that I mentioned the approved response to that question of why you joined BookTube, people say the approved response is to have people to talk to about books, but remaining a commenter on BookTube channels is awful close to that. It seems to me that starting a BookTube channel entails other wants. It entails other things that you want to do. Now, you mentioned one is to improve public speaking, and I've seen that on a few channels. People are they're inexplicably afraid of talking to an audience. I've never understood that, but nevertheless, a lot of people feel that way and they want to fix it. But before you started your channel, you had the conversations about books that BookTube provides, right? You get that in comments.
Mm-hmm.
So
was there
apart
any...
from the hammering out of public speaking, is there also a performative element involved here? Is that if these people can do it, I can do it?
Yeah, maybe something to prove to myself, perhaps. But also, I guess I started to notice there is a lack of, but there are not that many Finnish books mentioned in BookTube. So maybe I could do something to improve that part on BookTube, so that it wouldn't be so much centered around English speakers.
And do you feel more comfortable dealing one-on-one with channels that are roughly the size of your own channel, or does that not matter? Do you not notice that?
I don't think I've paid attention to that really. So I engage with sort of bigger channels and smaller channels, but yeah, I definitely feel more comfortable talking with channels of my own size.
And what about the element that came up in that discussion about finding the time?
Oh yeah, it's definitely an issue, at least at the start when I still hadn't figured out what I want to do with my channel and sort of what kind of videos I'm going to make. And there was all the technical stuff that I had to sort of figure out first. And then of course my studies continued, so I had to take those into account as well. But I'm slowly sort of starting to build a routine or habit around making videos, so it's less of an ordeal.
Mm-hmm. And does that routine involve BookTube occupying more of your mental space in the course of a week?
Oh yes, of course.
If you have if you decide, okay, on Thursday I'm going to make a video, you are increasingly thinking about it in the course of just walking around doing other stuff?
Oh yeah, like I go to have a walk in the park every day, so basically I use that time to think what I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I'm sort of constantly thinking what I could sort of say in my videos, and have I neglected some commenter, or all kinds of stuff.
And the more you get to know other booktubers as people rather than just as channels that you leave a comment on, do they increasingly occupy some of those thoughts where you're walking around and in addition to just thinking about the video, you're thinking about people?
Oh yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
so and so just made a video in which I heard this thing that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Or I know so and so hates this kind of book, but I'm going to talk about it. all of a
Mhm.
sudden you have other people in your thoughts, in
Yes.
addition to just the video making.
Yeah.
How does
So
that feel for a new booktuber? Do you feel the stresses, the strains that were in that conversation? You feel some of those yourself.
yeah, I think so. Um, like I'm not. It's not just me talking about books. It's me engaging in conversation with other people who have talked about those books. That's how I would like to see it. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
And do you have the same kinds of anxieties about your subscriber count? Do you look at it? Do you pay attention
Oh,
to it?
oh no, I want my subscriber count to be relatively low, so that I will always have enough time for my viewers, and so that I just want to know uh, whenever they want to have a word with me, I have time for them. That's basically what I want. So I don't want my channel to grow enormously. I wouldn't know what to do then, because that would lead to other kinds of time issues and different kind of stress.
I can speak from personal experience that it's entirely possible to stay in contact with your commenters and subscribers, no matter how big your channel is. It's entirely possible to do that. And the booktubers who claim otherwise have star syndrome. They think they are celebrities. All it takes is to do it. That's all. But do you imagine your channel, like for instance, like I mentioned, you're closing in on 200 subscribers. Can you imagine closing in on 1,000? Do you even think about such things?
Yeah, of course, it would be lying if I didn't think about those things, but uh, it's not in the near future. I think so.
When you're planning out videos, do you also plan in the meta sense? Not just my next video, but maybe I'd like to try something, a series or a regular concentration on my channel?
Oh yes, I have those coming up later. Some videos centered around Finnish literature, and so yes, so yeah, I lost my train of thought.
Well, and that is organic, right? That's because you yourself like Finnish literature.
Yes.
Because I've seen over the years, I've seen some new booktubers who get a particular response to something that they've mentioned. They're not particularly interested in it. They don't know where the response comes from, but they decide to concentrate on that. They tailor their content to the response rather than the reverse. But not in your case. You would be interested. You want to promote Finnish literature.
Yes. Well, of course, there's also that response element involved, but it's basically comes from myself that I want to do that.
Do your non-bookish friends know that you have a booktube channel?
Oh no, and I probably would never tell them.
Why not?
I
They know
know.
you
I know.
read,
Yeah.
right? They know you read.
Oh yes, some of them know. But yeah, I guess I just want to keep this as my own thing. They don't need to know this.
And what about the booktube backstage stuff that was covered in that recent tag? As that, you say you develop a routine. Has the routine also encompassed the doing of it, the placing of machinery, the understanding better of filming or uploading or whatnot? You obviously have to be better practiced at that now.
Oh yes, like in the early stages, I was always experimenting with the camera angle and lighting, and where do I keep my books that I want to show in the video, and does my face look ugly in this light? So, but now I guess I have sort of found a good position for my tripod and my camera and so on. And well, I don't edit my videos, so there's no technical issues with that. So it's pretty straightforward.
And it was odd at first to see
yeah.
your own videos out on the world.
Oh yeah, it was really odd.
Is it still?
Not really, not anymore.
I mean, when that bigger booktuber noticed you and drew attention to your channel, did that feel strange?
Oh yeah, definitely didn't like. I didn't expect that, and it was really weird to see my face pop up in his channel.
What, on a little thumbnail? Yes.
Oh yeah.
So, one element of that discussion that I was encouraged to hear was that both Kids World and the Font said that they have found BookTube to be a very welcoming atmosphere, irrespective of channel size. There was a mention in that video that they feel more comfortable just sort of fraternizing with channels roughly their own size and age. But there was also a note that this is a very welcoming place, just across the board.
Oh yes, and I wholeheartedly agree
You
with that.
found that to be true.
Oh yes, definitely. Like before I started my channel, I had heard that this is a very welcoming community, and yeah, I found that to be true after my first couple of
Have
videos.
you had any experience with other YouTube communities?
Like outside of BookTube, you mean? Yeah. Well, I've been involved in, well, not making my own videos, but commenting on sort of music collectors channels, and especially the vinyl community. I don't collect vinyls, but they are very friendly group as well. But then there are some very nasty places as well.
Yes, there are. I spend a good deal of time in those places. So I'm able to draw a distinct comparison between them and BookTube, especially this part of BookTube. But then again, when I mentioned this part of BookTube, do you watch much of the rest of BookTube? Do you watch many channels that have, for instance, over 40,000 subscribers?
Oh,
Completely smooth, professional television broadcast level of quality?
no,
No?
I basically try to steer away from those ones. I prefer the smaller ones, or relatively small.
And do you steer clear of them because you experienced them and didn't like what you saw?
Yeah, pretty much. Like if I left a comment, there was no response. I didn't feel any connection there. They were pretty much just performing.
Right. Okay. So it felt insincere.
Yes, that's the right word.
So what about
Oh, Frida.
she's trying to get comfortable. She's not trying to upstage you, I promise.
Mhm.
What about the reverse of the process? As you approach 200 subscribers, you might be looking at channels that are brand new, newer than yours, for whom 200 subscribers is an impossible goal. They're far, far away from it. Do you reach out to them? Do you let those channels know that you also welcome them as you yourself were welcome?
Oh yes, I've already sort of tried to find some new, some people who have made BookTube newbie tags recently, and sort of try to pass the generosity forward.
Are there any, to your knowledge, any Finnish booktubers who record in Finnish and not in English?
Well, there were some like year or two ago, but as far as I know, that has pretty much just vanished somewhere. Like it wasn't any successful there.
There are thriving non-English language booktube communities that I don't think our corner of booktube knows anything about. And there's no bleed over. Those booktubers don't know anything about us. We don't know anything about them. By and large, it always strikes me as a bit wasteful.
Yeah, it's really
Especially
weird.
since I feel certain that translation subtitle technology is readily available, so that we can be talking to each other, but one way or another. um, the one of the other aspects of the pressures of being a new booktuber that I'm wondering if it applies to you, although I'm gathering not, is maybe the pressure to spend money on equipment or on books.
Well, not equipment, but definitely books. I've been thinking, should I buy this just so I could talk with that person about this book? And so yeah, but I'm pretty good when it comes to using my money, so I don't just waste it just like that. So it's no big issue for me, really.
And you plan on continuing to make videos?
Oh yes, as
You
as far
enjoy
as
it?
I'm enjoying this, and it doesn't become, it doesn't start feeling like work.
And it doesn't. You
No,
are enjoying it.
I
So
am enjoying it at the moment. Yes.
so to wrap up the conversation, you would echo what was said in that discussion video. It was implied in that video. Like, it'd be nice if we could make it a little more explicit, which is that you would encourage anybody who's thinking about this to do it.
Oh yes, definitely. If there's anyone out there who has been thinking about making their own channel, go for it. Like, the first step is obviously the biggest issue. Like, do I dare to make this first video? But after that, it gets easier and easier, I would say. So no longer you're thinking about all the stress. It becomes rather natural, I would say. So take courage and make the first step.
Well, good. Wonderful. So you still feel new booktuber stresses, small booktuber stresses, but they're manageable.
Yes, totally manageable. Yeah.
Good. How is the Wi-Fi internet infrastructure there in Finland? Is it good?
Oh yeah, it's really good, I would say. Like, we have that 5G technology pretty much everywhere except the northern and eastern parts of Finland.
Mm.
And yeah, internet and Wi-Fi is really good here.
We would have Wi-Fi everywhere here in the United States if it weren't for the fact that 150 million Americans who have lots of guns think it causes cancer. Maybe you've heard of my country. But we don't have to get into this. We don't have to get into that. Yeah. They hate Wi-Fi because Jesus hated it. Yeah, welcome to America. But you don't have that problem. So that's good.
We actually believe in science.
Yes indeed. Yes, indeed. Unlike, for instance, a certain mega church pastor in the American South, I won't name him, but he has a congregation of 1.2 million. 1.2 million people pay for his jets, plural. He has 3 of them. 1.2 million people pay for his 4 houses, all of which are staffed around the clock, around the year, even though he only lives in one of them at a time. They all have their own individual staffs. And that pastor recently got up in front of his congregation and said 5G was evil because G stands for God, and there's only one God, not 5 of them. So the upshot of this video is, number one, I'm glad that you are dedicated to continuing to make booktube videos, and number two, Frida and I will be on the next freighter to join you there in Finland. And get away from here. Except that we can't, because we're COVID pariahs. Okay, this conversation took a dark turn.
Indeed.
To get to haul things back to the point. It's a little bit prickly when I'm talking to someone from an actual civilized free country. That gets a little bit prickly because I'm old enough to remember when I lived in one. But but to drag it back to the actual subject. So, I'm just going to wrap things up by expressing my gratitude that this area of BookTube is actually as welcoming as it says it is. That's great to know. So we'll be seeing you in videos.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, have a good night then there, right? It's nighttime there.
Oh yeah, it's almost 8 o'clock here.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a good night and I will see you on your videos.
Yes. See you soon.